Hi there, and welcome to the PopCanCastle. I don't think I can do this anymore. This is the PopCanCastle. It's a show by Bezo and Yezo, I'm told. And we've noticed there's a lot of review shows out there on the internet that do specialized things. They focus on TV or video games or whatever. We focus on nothing. We have no focus. We're like the ADD of review. So today we're going to start with a review of something we hate, because those are the best reviews. We're going to review The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalan. And so I'm going to turn it over to Yezo, and she's going to get us started with the whatever we start with.
The plot summary. Now, let me just start out by saying that I was a huge fan of the cartoon. So when I heard there was going to be a movie, I was very, very excited. At least until I talked to the first person that I met who had seen the movie. Then I started being a little afraid. But we like bad movies, so we went to see it anyway. The plot as follows. We start out with young Sokka and young Katara, who are screwing around on an iceberg until they see this big egg thingy. They break open the big egg thingy and there's a boy inside. Katara's immediate reaction, well, we found him. We have to take care of him. Because little boys and puppies are interchangeable to Katara, apparently. Which, yeah, granted. So Sokka, Katara, and their new freshly hatched friend Ong, all head back to their village. And Sokka and Katara's grandmother tells them a story. I was nearly asleep, but I seem to remember that she was telling them the story of the Avatar and how back 100 years ago, before the world became all war-ridden, the Avatar used to keep the peace before he buggered off and disappeared for the next 100 years. And I believe that their grandmother figured that this little freshly hatched young man was the Avatar. Okay, so let's fast forward through the plot summary. Fire Nation shows up. Boy and girl fight off Fire Nation. Boy and girl head out on a flying buffalo to look for the southern water tribe, so girl can learn how to become a kick-ass waterbender. I have bad news for you on that front, sweetie. This was followed by Ong being kidnapped by the Fire Nation about 57 times and rescued about 56 times. I think the 57th he rescued himself. Okay, screw the plot summary. Characters.
There aren't any. Oh, sorry, that was confused, Matthew. The characters in this movie are pronounced wrong, or in some cases pronounced Ong.
Okay. So we have Ong, the Avatar, who is attempting to learn all 4 elements of bending so that he can bring balance to the Force or something. In the TV show, Ong is a free-spirited, fun-loving little boy with moments of great maturity and wisdom. In the movie, Ong looks stoned most of the time, even when he's doing those freaky karate kicks and things. I'm trying to think of what else to say on Ong, but aside from looking stoned and occasionally sad and appealing, there really wasn't much to his character. Now, Katara. I'm probably a bad person to talk about this because the way they handled Katara in the movie pissed me the hell off. When first we meet Katara and Sokka, we have a scene where she accidentally splashes him with her waterbending and hurriedly apologizes and cowers away from him. While the scene on its own was kind of cute, it was made absolutely insufferable by the fact that we've gotten to know Katara already over the course of 3 seasons of the show. And the thought of Katara cowering away from Sokka is absolutely idiotic. But this is a good indication of what Katara is going to do throughout the rest of the movie. She will stand there. She will stand there some more. If there's a chair, she will sit there. I think she gets knocked out at one point. She hides behind Sokka. I seem to recall that she attempted to hide behind Ong, but this of course failed because he's short. Okay, on to Sokka.
Sokka was in this movie.
Well, somebody named Sokka was in this movie. I believe it was Sokka. Yes, it was Sokka's evil, humorless twin, Sokka. Sokka was a pretty okay character, as long as one wasn't going into it expecting Sokka.
Now, I will not claim to be as big a fan of the show as Yezo, but I do know Sokka, and Sokka was not Sokka at all. Sokka was dumb.
Sokka was... Wow, what was he? Sokka was. There we go. That's about as much as we can say about this boy. On to the Fire Nation! Okay, let's start out with Zuko. Now, I liked, what was his name, Dev Patel? I liked his portrayal of Zuko. He came across as an angry, whiny, bitchy little turd, which is kind of what Zuko in the series came across as.
Yes, fangirls, we know. Yes, we know how wonderful he is to you. Yes. Well, let's just put up a disclaimer at this point in the video saying that your mileage may vary.
I'm not saying I didn't like Zuko. I thought he was cute. I thought he was a cute little angsty, overdramatic dork.
General Zhao's chicken. General Zhao was there.
Okay. General Zhao was quite possibly the most obnoxious character I've ever seen. I don't even know what it was about him that bothered me so much. From what I can recall of General Zhao in the cartoon, he had an aura of menace, and he actually gave you the impression that he could accomplish something other than sitting around and stroking his evil beard and lusting after Zuko. Come on, you know he totally was.
I think Yezo is going to be saying more about this than I am because I really don't remember it.
Yezo doesn't really have a lot to say about this movie either because most of her favorite things of the TV series haven't happened yet. Although one of them was supposed to happen. The Kyoshi Warriors were supposed to show up in Volume 1, which I assume is this movie, but they were nowhere to be found. Now, from what I hear, Shyamalan has said that's because he didn't want to rush their introduction, but I don't see why he would care when he has rushed everything else in the story, while drawing out nothing to ridiculous levels. When we can have a sequence that occurred for about 30 seconds in the series stretched out to 10 minutes, I don't think he has the right to complain that he had to rush in other places.
I seem to recall at the theater that I wanted popcorn, and I didn't have any, and that really aggravated me. And when I saw the movie, I was only aggravated further, and eventually I went on a bloody rampage, and several people died. Unfortunately, none of those people were involved with The Last Airbender.
Very unfortunately.
Yezo is the consummate professional, and she will talk about the characters and talk about the storyline and talk about all those wonderful things. I am here only for smart-ass remarks and bullshit. So that is my function in these reviews. And so the reviews I do by myself, and there will be those reviews, will be completely devoid of any content whatsoever. So feel free to skip those. I probably will too.
Okay, so where were we? Oh, we never talked about Iroh. I'm sorry. We never talked about Iroh. The character of Iroh was done pretty well, we thought. I didn't quite expect the super long hair, but it kind of worked. And he was suitably groovy. He didn't have the same kind of crazy, quirky old guy thing that he had going on in the cartoon, like the randomly stopping for a bath when he happens to see a hot spring, regardless of what's going on around him, or the forcing music night on Zuko, which was awesome. But he did have a sort of placid, saintly, comes out of left field and totally kicks your ass thing going on, which was almost as good. And then there's Ozai. Ozai, for whatever reason, reminded me constantly of an insurance broker or a banker, and I don't know why.
I think it's fairly safe to say that in general this movie had no connection to the cartoon series that spawned it.
Although, I'll admit, I totally had a fangirl moment at the start of this movie when they did the live-action version of the shadowy people doing their cool bending tricks and by your powers combined, I am Captain Avatar, but things quickly regressed from there.
You know what's awesome? Tape. You can stick it to things, and you can stick other things to other things with it. And I think that's neat. I'm going to review Tape, but back to The Last Airbender, begrudgingly. Okay, we talked about the plot-ish. We talked about the characters-ish. What about those amazing special effects?
Okay, let me just preface this by saying that I wouldn't know a good special effect from a hole in the ground, so I actually thought most of them were pretty good. Except for the notable and oft pointed out dancing earthbender floating rock sequence.
We don't get 3D.
Yeah, 3D. Oh boy. Although I have to say, I don't believe for a second that the 3D would have made that sequence any less ridiculous. Okay, the rest of the special effects. Well, I know Bezo has pointed out something in the past that aggravated him a lot about this movie. The bending in the TV series matched up very, very well with what the character was trying to do with it. If it was Katara trying to pick up a column of water and throw it at somebody, she would lift up the water and then throw it.
There's almost no connection to the action and the reaction.
Now, regarding the absolute lack of any connection between the bender's action and the result, this is something that confuses me quite a lot about M. Night Shyamalan. He wanted to stay very, very true to his source material, which he did in a lot of places that it made no sense, and that it just didn't work for a movie. And yet, when it was something that he really, really should have kept the same, he just went ahead and changed it completely. And this is not the only time he seemed to do this. Instead of altering the plot slightly from something that can be stretched out over 26 episodes into something that can fit into 2 hours, he just rushed through most of the plot. Whereas he had no problem completely altering most of the main characters.
And their pronunciations. I cannot emphasize this enough.
Oh, thar, Bezo.
Do not overkill me, Bezo!
Think we should wrap this up?
I give it 1 thumb up. My ass.
I give it 1 boot up. M. Night Shyamalan's ass. On a scale between 1 and 10, I don't think we do ratings. How about a percentage? Lots of flexibility there. I'd give it about a 23.
14.7.